Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how you can incorporate finishing into your youth soccer training sessions. So let's go. So we're continuing on with our series of breaking down individual portions of training sessions. I have a video on the channel that goes through a basic rundown of how the vast majority of my sessions are. And I had a suggestion to break those down, so I've been doing that. But today we're going to talk about something that I didn't talk about on that video, which is finishing. And I learned this the hard way, guys. My, especially younger teams, are always very good in possession. We're always very good with our shape. But especially this year, once we got the ball into our final third, we really struggled to score on our goals, or even sometimes create chances. And I think part of that was my focus is always so much on building out of the back. But part of it is we didn't really practice finishing or crossing or shooting. So I want to give you guys some tools to be able to do that. And I do want to say that I've noticed once I started doing that, we created a lot more chances, scored a lot more goals.
So as most of you know who've been following this channel, at the 7v7 level, I prefer to play a 2-3-1. So that is 2 center backs, 2 outside midfielders or fullbacks, a single central midfielder, and a single central striker.
The reason I bring this up is because the finishing sessions that I'm going to be showing you are based around this shape. And I think anytime that you're running a session, whether it be finishing or not, you should really try to incorporate what your shape is into that session.
So in general, with the 2-3-1, we are attacking with 4 players. Now, certainly the 2 center backs have supporting roles and in the right situation can also attack, but the vast majority of our chance creation and our goal scoring should come from the 2 outside backs, the center midfielder, and the central striker. This is a really simple but effective exercise that I like to use for finishing with my younger teams. It starts by putting 4 cones equally spaced out as seen here. You're then going to strategically place players into positions that they typically play in our 2-3-1. So players who play at the left wing will be at the leftmost cone. Players who play right wing or right fullback are at the rightmost cone. And then to start, I have the striker at this right inner cone and our central midfielders or players who typically play there at the left inner cone. Balls start with the players who are in the striker position. The ball is initially played from our striker to our central midfielder, who then plays a ball out wide to the right wing. The purpose of starting out this finishing session this way is to encourage the central midfielder to play the ball out wide. Many times you will see your central midfielders playing this ball or dribbling with the ball in the middle of the field, and they get caught up because there's too many defenders and they're not looking out wide to the wing. This is especially common in youth teams and especially common in the final third of the field. The right wing is now looking to play a ball into the box to dedicated runners. This gives you an opportunity for the wide players to work on their crosses, as well as the other attacking players to work on their dedicated runs. For those of you who are not familiar with my attacking patterns, I can link that video, but to summarize, my attacking players make the same runs no matter what. So the striker goes near post, the central midfielder goes to the penalty spot, and the fullback on the opposite side goes to the far post. Once those 4 players have completed their run, the next people in line go, with again, the striker giving the ball to the central midfielder, plays it out wide to that right fullback, who then will look to play a dedicated cross into the box.
Once you've done that down the right wing several times, you just switch it to the left. Now, in order to do this, you have to switch where the striker and the central midfielder lines are. You just crisscross them. So now the striker is on the left, plays a ball to the center midfielder who's on the right inner cone, and they play it over to the left wing, who starts crossing balls in from the left. But all the concepts are the same.
In terms of coaching points, I like to get a couple of things across. First, the person who's making those crosses really want to start to get the idea of trying to place a ball in a certain area. A lot of times you'll see kids just cross it in. You'll see coaches go, whip it in, without any real regard of placement. For the players making the runs, I definitely want to get across that if a ball's coming in on a cross, really just try to get your inside part of your foot on it. A lot of times these kids will try to actually take a ball that's being crossed in and get a shot off, when all they have to do is usually get some contact with it and it will go in. Also, looking at the runs, are they completing their runs? A lot of kids, especially in the youth game, will stop their run short. And lastly, one-touch finishes and how important those are in scoring goals. The first progression from this finishing exercise is to add defenders. Now, if you did this initially without goalkeepers, the first progression might be to add a goalkeeper. You will notice that I've added a second goalkeeper here. If you have two keepers, you just switch them each run. In terms of adding defenders, I would start with just 2 center backs and let them defend against the crosses. But as your team becomes more sophisticated or maybe gets a little bit older, you can start adding a defensive midfielder, even adding wings to help make the training more realistic. The next progression is to add counter goals. And I really like this because it gives the realistic impression of what happens if, let's say, a cross goes into the box, but the defender is the one who actually receives it. And now you've got to counter press and deal with a counter. So can the attacking players recover? And even when I do this with counter goals, sometimes I will add attacking center backs, which again, just makes it more realistic in game-like situations.
So I'm going to move on to a shooting exercise now, guys. I don't want this video to get too long, but you can see that just doing a crossing exercise like that, or a finishing drill like I just talked about, for even 20 minutes a week, you could do it maybe every other session, really improves the ability of your players to get used to creating chances and scoring goals. So I don't do a lot of shooting sessions really at all, and there's a couple reasons for that. One, it's sort of part of my overall philosophy of what kids should be doing at home. However, you do have to provide some form of a foundation for this. So especially with my younger groups, I like to play a shooting knockout game. The other part of this, guys, is that the reality is, in a lot of the other things we do in the session, there is shooting. We're playing games. We're doing 4-goal games. We're doing small-sided games. So to spend a significant amount of time just doing shooting, I don't do that personally. But again, the game that I do like to play, either we usually do it right at the start of practice or maybe at the end. The kids love it, and it does focus on this technique.
The setup is simple, with each player having a ball at the 6-yard line. Each player then takes a turn striking the ball into the net. If the ball strikes the back netting without hitting the ground, they survive to the next round. However, if it hits the ground, or it hits the post, or it doesn't go in, then they are eliminated. The players who survived that round move on to the next round and take 2 steps back. The process is repeated until only one player is remaining. So while this is a fun game and the kids get excited, you do want to give some coaching points. First being, get a 45-degree angle from the ball. This will allow the best angle to get most power in your shot. What you'll see a lot of times is kids will stand directly behind the ball and they really can't get the right angle to get enough torque to really get a good shot on goal. The second point is that the plant foot must be to the side of the ball, and it can't be too close to the ball and it can't be too far away. Oftentimes you'll see youth players either plant too close to the ball or too far from the ball. Third, you want to strike the very middle of the ball with either the inside part of your foot or with your laces. And the last point is try to keep your chest down, follow through, and land on your kicking foot.
Hey guys, like always, if you have any comments, please put them in the comment section or contact me directly, and I hope this video helped.